Prince is an interesting deal. I mean, I've been in it pretty much from day one because a good friend of mine helped put it together. They brought Derek on a little while ago. He's doing a great job running it. The thing about silver, I mean, I'm not a silver bug. I'm not really an anything bug. I mean, you'd think I would be since I trade this stuff all day, but I came up through the mining side of it, not the market side of it, I guess you could say. My dad was a mining executive. I was a mining consultant way back in the day, so I just don't have that mindset. But I'm certainly well aware of the fact that silver is a tight enough market, and we're in crazy enough days that the potential is there for silver to go to, who the hell knows? I mean, 150, 200 bucks. If you're someone that's trading because you're a whatever bug and you're looking for leverage, stocks like Prince Silver tend to do very well in strong bull markets. Derek and the guys are working on a resource. I don't know when that's going to come out, but I know it's going to be fairly big. I mean, I'm expecting 100 million tons, 100 million ounces plus. The grade's not going to be high, but resources that are marginal, and I'm not sure it's even marginal anymore. I don't think it's marginal at 80 bucks, but it was marginal when they first picked it up. Resources like that, those are the ones that have the torque when the metal price really moves. Those are the ones that tend to have the biggest percentage moves. And on top of that, they're only starting to kind of work on the modeling, I think, and figure out where to try to test it. But Prince also has, I think, potential underlying the system for much higher grade feeder zones or IOCG or CRD or something like that. They're going to have to model it and test it to prove it. But I think you've got that on top. So, if they can find something like that and generate really high grade intercepts, they're going to get love anyway. But it's also just a really good stock with torque to the silver price. So with all of that said, me having given half of this presentation, I'll invite Derek up to finish it.
I'm about 5 months into the job, and I have to say that everything is going better than I could have even expected or hoped for, and hopefully that's going to keep on going. The biggest thing, as Eric pointed out, is, at least in the near term for all of you, would be that we are expecting to put together a 43-101 compliant resource estimate by late this year. And he's already putting out some numbers out there. I'm not going to put those out there right now, but I think they're fairly realistic, actually. There will be some forward-looking statements. I may have already made some. So why Prince Silver? So if I can leave you with anything right now, I would say that I would expect there is going to be some sort of re-rating in the stock once we have our resource estimate out. But there are a number of other reasons why I like the company. And so number one, I would say, is we're in a proven district. I think number one in the world in terms of the best jurisdiction you could be in, at least according to the Fraser Institute. Not only that, but we are dealing with a pretty large system. It's already been a past producing area, and we're just hoping to resurrect that. We're fully funded, so we did a financing in February, and so we are fully financed for another phase of drilling, which we actually just brought a third rig actually onto the site, and that hopefully will be turning shortly. So 2 rigs on the site right now, drilling away. We're trying to do 9,000 meters of drilling, and I was wishing we had some results to report just before this conference. Unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be early next week, but anyways, stay tuned for some results there. We do have a clear path towards that resource estimate. So why is that? We do have a database of about 129 historical holes. And on top of that, now we've drilled nearly 20 holes so far. So basically, we're tacking that on to the existing database, putting that together and coming out with a resource estimate again later on this year, hopefully by Q4. And then a few things that I think are pretty topical right now is critical minerals. And so we have silver, which you may not have known that it was a critical mineral, at least according to the USGS. We have manganese, zinc, lead, and then there is a little bit of copper there as well. So we are in Nevada, and if anybody's been down there, I'm sure you've been to Las Vegas. And if you want to do a site tour, I'd be happy to take you out there at some point. It's about 3 hours north of Las Vegas, and it is in a historic mining district, which is the Pioche Mining District. And basically from early 1900s to about 1960s, this whole area has produced about $5 billion worth of metal at recent metal prices. The project in particular that we're looking at, Prince, is that blue area there. And it's a carbonate replacement deposit type of mineralization, which is typically going to have a polymetallic mineralization, and that's exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing the silver, we're seeing the zinc, lead, and manganese, especially the manganese. And what's kind of been a kicker recently is gold, and hopefully we'll have some more news on some gold results here. So that's the past producing Prince mine. It was a small mine. It produced about 1.2 million or 1.1 million tons at about 100 grams per ton. They were chasing high-grade veins, fissure veins mostly, but there was also some mantos, and mantos, as you may know, are kind of these flat bed or flat-lying beds of mineralization. Some of that was mined, but most of it was really chasing these veins. And they together produced about 3.6 million ounces of silver, some zinc and some gold as well. And just this small mine has produced about $600 million worth of metal. And we think we're probably going to have potentially between 50 and 100 times more in terms of tonnage for the project, albeit at lower grades. Metal, basically I think we have a perfect storm here in terms of the potential here. We have, yes, a lower grade asset, but as Eric said, that will have potentially the most torque in a good market. And if you believe in a good market and you're sitting here today, I assume that you do believe in the metals, then we still have better times to come. Mother Nature kind of did us a little favor here. So what happened, these two little holes here, or not that small actually, they're about 100 meters wide, but that's basically a start to an open pit. What happened was they collapsed here, and what that gave us was a glimpse into the underground. So those are kind of like little starter open pits, and you can see that the mineralization effectively starts really at close to surface. I'm talking about less than a couple meters at surface. Now, it's not all going to be like that, especially as you go further to the north of the system. It's going to be deeper down. But this is just a good example of you're looking at this mine, could this make sense? And you can see the open pit mineralization, that darker material, because it is a carbonate replacement deposit, that darker material is going to be your silver, manganese-rich mineralization, and it's basically starting near surface. It was mined down to as deep as about 250 meters, which means that we do have some scale there, and there's multiple stacked horizons. So we have an upper oxide level that's going to have more manganese-rich and silver, and then the lower sulfide one, which is deeper, but is having more gold. And I'm really looking forward to putting some more results out with some gold grades in there. So overall, we're backed by 27 years of history in terms of production, a whole bunch of data in terms of exploration, and then we're just tacking on to that with the current drill program. So what makes me feel a little bit better at night is that as soon as we started putting out some results. And here are just a sample of some of our better results that we've had on the property. So this is the exploration target, that kind of violet-colored ellipsoid. That's the area that we're just focused on, and that's the exploration target. And those are all the holes that we put in there. We've had some exceptional grades, 3 meters of 1,300 grams per ton silver with 14% manganese. That was an exceptionally high-grade hit. But we've also put out some new holes just as of a month ago, 7.6 meters of 230 grams per ton silver. So as Eric pointed out, we're looking for some of these feeder zones, but overall you can expect this to be a large tonnage, but lower grade asset, but with the potential to have a high grade feeder zone in here. And we've doubled up the land position. So after we put out our first set of drill results, we said we got to start staking up some more ground. So we've already added all this green ground here. We started off with the kind of beige to blue areas to the south. Why are we accumulating ground along this? Well, if you look at that blue line there, what's called the Great Western Fault, that was basically a fault or a fissure in the earth, which would have helped all these hot fluids come up to the surface. And when those hot fluids come up to the surface, they would have mineralization. And so that's exactly what we're tracing along. So we've followed this trend up to the north, and we're going to keep on accumulating more ground as we can. So how do you kind of evaluate a company like this? We're pre-resource and we're pre-production. So one way is you can look at their enterprise value per ounce of silver equivalent. So if we take a look at some of our soon-to-be peers, I guess you could say, The average, if you looked at enterprise value per ounce in the ground, you're looking at about $1.83 per ounce. So currently our market cap's about $40 million. So if we put out a resource of let's just say, for example, to make it round numbers, 100 million ounces of silver or silver equivalent, that would give you a market cap of $183 million. So I think you could do the math. We're fairly undervalued, assuming we can get that resource estimate done. And that's why I'm saying you should probably think about buying the stock now versus later, because we will have that resource estimate out later this year. One other thing that I would point out is that we do have those critical minerals, and as you may listen to Trump and others in the administration, they are pushing to increase the domestic supply of all these critical minerals in the United States. There are funding for this in terms of grants and loans, and we are definitely going to be seeking some of those funds. And there's just a few examples: Titan Mining, Trilogy Metals. They've all received money, and you can take a look at their stock prices after they receive this funding, and it does wonders for your stock. So we are going to pursue that, not only because it can help your stock, but obviously it'd be nice to have U.S. government funding, which can also help fast track your permitting. Capital structure, we got a tight structure, 59 million shares outstanding. We're still fairly cashed up. We had $8 million after we closed the last financing. Market cap right now is about 40 million. We do have several newsletter writers that are into the stock, Eric being one of them. Several others in the room. I think probably Chen might be around here, Brad London, if you see him. All of them are shareholders. If you want to ask them some questions, I'm sure they'd be happy to answer any questions. But I'm here as well. I'll be outside if you want to ask me some questions. Lastly, I have a lot of experience in the business. I might not look it, but I've been in the business for over 23 years. Ralph Shearing has been in the business even longer than me, and he's just outside in the hallway as well. He runs a company called Gold Group, which is a much larger producing company, and he really adds a lot to the team here. We recently added Patrick Toth as an exploration manager, and he's now heading up the exploration program down at site. I will cut it there at that. Thank you so much, and if you have any questions, happy to answer them later.